It was good, y'all. It's your boy JD6 here. I'm with my man. Shout out to KC Sports Authority. Make sure y'all go check that podcast out, man.
You heard the man. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the KC Sports Authority podcast. Keegan Russell, JB Merker, Austin Eckert with you guys here on this one to talk a little KU football, a little KU basketball with some Bill Self comments in the media session today. But before we get into all that, first off, if you're new to the show, thank you for checking us out. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below on screen. If you're watching over here on YouTube, we would greatly appreciate that. Be one of the 1,200 plus subscribers we have right now. Thank you so much to all of you that have been subscribed. You can also hit us up on any of our social medias at KCSA Pod, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, all there. And you can, of course, listen to the podcast over on Spotify, where you can rate and review, give us 5 stars. We would appreciate it. Well, fellas, welcome. Hasn't been a recent episode where all three of us, got Austin on last week. JB's been off for the last couple of weeks. I've been doing some other content. So first off, it's great to be on with the two of you. We got some KU stuff to talk about. And I figured we'd kick it off with the David Booth drops the bag.
Whoa!
300 chings, 300 mil, just back the Brinks truck up to Travis Goff's office. Here you go. Wanted to get into that with you guys first, because first off, that's just incredible. Of course, it happens right after Austin and I record an episode talking about the stadium being ready for this year. Now here's $300 million for Goff to go have fun with, but want to talk a little bit about that, get your guys' thoughts, read some comments from those around KU athletics. But $300 million, first off, must be nice to have that kind of money. He's worth about $3 billion, give or take a couple $100 million. But David Booth, you could argue, is probably the most important alumni donor in Kansas athletics history.
Yep.
100%. Might be up there with some. I mean, I'm sure there's a report out there that would compare him to some other schools with what he's donated, but $300 million, I think now if you add up everything he's donated, that's public knowledge, it's about $400 to $450 million, give or take, over the years. We obviously know what he did, bringing the basketball rules back to Lawrence, Kansas. But $300 million to not just get going with phase 2 of the booth, but to also inspire some other donors to cough over some money. This is the second time he's donated $300 million. He did it back with the University of Chicago, where he got his MBA, and so they rightfully renamed the business school after him. But $300 million, like, I wonder what that phone call was like. Travis is calling him. He's saying, hey, Mr. Booth, we're so grateful for everything you've done. Here's what we need. He's like, all right, let me get back to you. Calls him back up. Hey, yeah, so I was thinking about it. How about $300 million? Sound good?
How do you
how does
that?
How does that phone call? I mean, someone's got to get Travis Goff on interview and talk about that. How did that conversation go down? What do you say to a guy who's like, hey, I got $300 million with your name on it. When do you want the check, and how do you want me to transfer the money over?
I bet he probably heard Travis fall back and topple over out of his desk chair over the phone like that. I mean, holy cow. $300 million, and someone correct me if I'm wrong. I believe I heard that was the largest donation in NCAA history. Not just Kansas history, but NCAA history. Or
so it's the second time that's happened by the same person,
yeah.
Of course. But yeah, that I think I read the same information.
Definitely Kansas history. And it's like, man, you can't fathom how much that helps our program. I feel like for us, we started this project. We've been rebuilding. When it comes to Kansas football, it's been so taboo. It's just, there's been controversy. There's been storylines. There's been mockeries. And here we are. We've rebuilt our program, and now we have this huge donation in the middle of a rebuilding of our entire stadium. Holy cow. I mean, we really needed that. It's funny. I was actually, it was a couple weeks ago, I was talking with my connection over at KU, so we could talk to them about advertising for this upcoming season and selling tickets for this upcoming season. Not that we really need a lot of help selling tickets into the new booth, but you never know, right? So put on my KMBC hat, and I was talking to them about advertising, and I learned something. I don't think this is terrible, or I don't think I'm breaking any rules by saying this, but we asked about phase 2. This is a couple weeks back, so it's pre-donation.
Yeah, pre 300 million.
And she was my contact. She was telling me that there has been no announcement on when they would start phase 2, and that is she didn't say this, but I could infer, well, that's because we didn't have the money, or at least we didn't know how or when we could start phase 2, and now we know. So how
And for
awesome
those of
is
you
that?
that either have been living under a rock or really aren't sure, I'm not going to dive into the full details, but phase 2, there's different aspects to it. There's the retail side. So on the east side of the stadium where you used to park and tailgate, the plan is that part of that is going to be a parking garage, hotel, all that right there, but then some retail shopping space attached, and then some sponsorship opportunities. But then you've also got the east side of the stadium, but there's still talks of how they'll redesign that. And so there's still a lot that could happen, and 300 million certainly going to give you a lot. I don't remember off the top of my head now what the total cost projection was for the full stadium and how long that was going to take. But yeah, for those of you that want to know what to expect in phase 2, I'm sure over the coming weeks, we'll have some more information from Travis Goff. I'm sure there'll be something next week going into the home opener, that they'll announce something about, hey, now that we've got funding, here's what we plan to do next, and here's the timeline for it. But sorry, continue.
No, it's just I just think it's so funny to me that it almost seemed like we started this massive rebuild of our stadium without even a guarantee that we would have the funding to finish the project. Just seems like such a Kansas thing to do. It seems like just another reason for people to make fun of Kansas, right? But wow, 300 million, dude. I just can't fathom
It's
that
so
amount
much
of money.
money.
Holy
I mean,
cats.
he could be. I mean, that right there, he could be probably a 15 to 30% owner of a sports franchise. Like,
He really could. We don't even need. That's the thing, is we don't even need a third of that to finish the rebuild, and this essentially gives us, I think, a lot of freedom to use that money however we see fit. And so a lot of us have started to look at, well, what does that mean for NIL? Does that just mean that we have the deepest pockets out of any
could be.
program in the country now? Probably. And if that's the case, well, you would hope that it means some high-level recruits coming to Kansas. You would hope that it means something really good for both.
Yeah, if
honestly, for
anything,
both
it
football
gives
and
you
basketball.
options and opportunity. And like I said,
Yeah.
I don't think there's. I was reading a couple different articles. I haven't seen much on what the money is specifically used for, how much is for what. I'm sure, again, if that's out there and I missed it, I apologize. But I'm sure over the coming weeks we'll get some more clarity on, hey, here's how much is going to be used for phase 2. Here's how much is getting sent to this. Because athletics as a whole, that's a lot of money that they could do for all sorts of things. There's still other renovations they'd like to do with Allen Fieldhouse down the road that could go towards. Baseball's going to need some renovations as their program's developing. All these other teams are going to need stuff too. So yeah, I'm very curious to see over the next coming weeks when Travis Goff starts to share more information of what's that money going to be used for, how is it going to be used, how is it allocated, how does that impact NIL and the revenue sharing. That's a great question. I have no clue.
I read something somewhere that 75 million of that $300 million is going to go towards the stadium. So I think 75 million is what we're getting towards the stadium. And then I think the rest, I mean, obviously it's going towards athletics, but I mean, we have a ton of money in NIL now. I mean, shoot, I can't wait to see the recruiting class that Lance Leipold puts together next year. I mean, geez, we might be like Texas
on top of the one he just signed. I mean, probably one of the best recruiting cycles we've had in a long time.
Hey, I think JJ could probably be a 5-star. Maybe. There's a chance. He's pretty good. So you never know. We're gonna have a 5-star pretty soon. I said this the other day. I said within the next 5 years, we're gonna have a 5-star recruit.
Oh, I think it'll be sooner than that.
I think
it'll be-
so too. I'm just saying within 5 years. I think that's
I think we could get one for 2026 that backs out or changes or I mean, I would still count the 5-star who signs and then transfers after 1 year. But yeah, it's coming. This money's obviously going to help with recruiting, game day activities, the stadium. Bill Self was asked during his press conference today, which we'll get into, how does the new stadium impact recruiting for basketball? And he's like, well, guys, to be honest, it's not going to impact basketball much. It doesn't even impact football as much because that's not what these guys care about anymore. He's like, nothing to, I'm paraphrasing, but nothing against them. But recruits, agents, and families aren't going, oh, you have the coolest facilities or the coolest stadium, because it's not even like guys aren't coming to KU because of Allen Fieldhouse anymore, because that's just
That's
the way it
sad,
is. They're
by the
coming
way.
because where's my best opportunity to get to the next level and get paid. It is sad, but he did say the atmosphere and experience of the fans will obviously impact those guys on visits, whether it's football, basketball, any sport you name. If they come in, they see the fan participation, the excitement because of a brand new football stadium and the experience you have on game day with this culture, that could be a huge selling point, because we're not the SEC, but football is going to get closer over the next 5 years, that the experience could be similar. I don't think we will ever rival what the SEC has when it comes to tailgating and pregame experience and all that, because it's just football is different in the South. But we're on the right track. We're in the right direction, and $300 million is certainly going to help. I was going to comment on that $75 million thing too. JB mentioned that to me before we started, and I was trying to read on it. The only thing I could see, and again, maybe I'm just confused and this is coming out later, I thought the 75 million was more of him saying, hey, I donated a crap ton of money. I'm going to issue a challenge to other donors to come up with 75 million on your own and join the cause. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it was, hey, I'll give you 70, or I'll match 75 million to whatever you guys, something like that. Again, I'm sure we'll get more details over the next coming weeks, but want to at least start with that and the impact it could have on football. I think that's going to make next week's home opener even more exciting, because obviously he'll be there. There'll be some sort of presentation on the field.
We're all going to be there, by the way.
Yep.
Yes, that's the plan. That is the plan.
We won't be sitting together, but hey, if you guys are going, like, it's the first game in the new booth. Like, all right, and I've been saying this. Can we? All right, pause, because I have to rant. I haven't ranted about this in a public space like the podcast. Oh God,
here we go.
JB's hot takes. Here we go.
I
don't know. We've talked about it internally, maybe, but not on this podcast. I don't like the fact that it's 2/3 done, that 1/3 of the stadium is such an eyesore. It's so ugly. Now it's like, okay, yes, I'm excited. I'm excited to go to the booth, finally be back home after all this time. But come on, guys, it's going to look like such garbage. And every single promotional material that they put out there, every photo, every reel, every drone
What are you talking
shot.
about? This looks great.
It's so okay. No,
is it incomplete? Yes, I get.
Throw the other side.
No, right there.
How convenient! That's where all the photos cut off.
How conveniently cropped that photo is, and every other photo. Oh yeah, okay, the backside. So you can't really see how messed up.
That's the visiting side. Nobody cares about the visiting side.
And the student section side. So, like, everybody gets to sit in the nice seats, and the student section can go crazy in the old seats, and the visitors can go sit in the bad seats. So there you go.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, my seats at the game are going to be on the newly renovated, brand new, rebuilt side. And while that's cool and I'll get to experience that, my line of sight is going to be going straight toward the ugly side. And I'm going to be like, bro,
you're looking at that the entire time.
Yeah, dude, it's still not done. And
that's fair. I was going to bring that up the other night when Austin and I were talking about the stadium. I forgot to. It does feel weird that it's an incomplete stadium, but it is nice to be back in Lawrence. Like we talked about, something about being in Kansas City. It was cool. But there's just some bad juju.
It was a hassle.
Away from the stadium. It just felt off.
$30-$40 for parking, like tailgating scene. I mean, it was fun, but it's like you're not on campus. You're not tailgating on the hill. You're not tailgating on Alabama Street. You're not tailgating on Illinois Street. You're not tailgating like it's different.
Name a
And
state.
I
Yeah.
didn't like it at all. Now when it's a Chiefs game, oh yeah, it's a lot of fun. Trust me. But for like it just sucked. It really did.
So I do look forward to
good
being
be
back in the booth for sure.
It's good to be back. I'm just really frustrated
Yeah.
because honestly, going back to the entire project, I mean, we had all this time to tear down and rebuild the entire thing. I hate that they're calling it a renovation. It's not a renovation. It's a rebuild. But the fact that it's only 2/3 done makes it look more like a renovation than it is a rebuild. And it's just like, hey, we could have timed this better. We could have planned this better. We could have had the funding in place and managed better to where we
that's
could
probably
have
why
torn
that's
it
probably
down.
the main reason why it's not done, because that
Yeah.
you got to come up with a lot of money.
It's
all at
funding.
once.
But if we had just done that if we had just planned better from the beginning, we could have torn down and rebuilt the entire thing in the same time span, but we didn't. And it's the most Kansas thing in the world to have 2/3 of a stadium rebuilt and be all excited about it. Yes, I'm excited to a certain extent, but I'm also really ticked off because it's not fully done. Okay, so that's really frustrating.
According
But by
to
the way,
Google AI, it takes 2 to 4 years to build a college football stadium.
yeah.
So-
I was about to
Hey,
point that out, but I mean, listen, it does take a while to tear down a full stadium and rebuild it from the ground up. I mean, it's a completely different structure. You're not using parts of the old stadium, right?
Yeah.
So now the
but
renderings.
we were running so fast on it though.
Yeah,
That's true.
you guys remember the whatever it is, the depiction of what they were going to do before the updated, renovated whatever. I mean, like they were going to literally keep the old press box and do whatever. Like it just looks so bad. I'm glad that they didn't go through with that. Travis Goff also said something that stood out to me about the East Side and it's ugly, eyesore. He said something like, it might be a good thing that the TV is panning towards the old East Side because it reminds everybody of where they were and how things are going. And once they turn the camera to the other side of the stadium,
Sure.
you can see the progress of, all of that. So,
and maybe some motivation for some of these other donors to cough over some money.
So I would say, exactly.
Everyone with a positive spin.
And maybe like having the old East Side will motivate donors. So all right,
we got to get this done.
We're
a nationally relevant program. We have to have this done.
I'm just excited that we're all going to be there, right? We're all going to be there. And if you guys who are watching are also going to be at the game, come find us. I started this by saying we're not sitting together, but come find us. If you see us, do not be shy and come up and say hello to us. Because honestly, I'm still waiting on the day. That I get noticed in public. Not that we have this cult following, but man, how cool would that be? I would be like, dude, let me get your number. We could text, I'm like, I'll be your friend instantly. I'm just I don't know. I cannot wait for the day.
Fellow co-host Christopher Tenpenny will also be at the game. He's coming up for this game as well. So looking forward to it. But we'll have to all link up at some point throughout the festivities of the day and get together.
Agreed.
Yeah, because I have no idea where I'm sitting yet. But
JB, you'd be shocked how many times people came up to me at KU football games last year. I actually had a few people come up to me. Are you that guy on Twitter that posts stadium pictures? I'm like, yeah.
It's because you have a large following.
I'm that guy. Yeah, it was all for the same reason. Are you the stadium picture guy or whatever? It's the same comments, questions. And I'm like, yes, I'm the guy that takes the stadium pictures. Yeah.
Are you JB from JB's Hot Takes?
Oh, I like it. Yeah.
We need 300 of Austin's followers to also give us a follow on Twitter. That'd be great.
But yeah.
Hey, JB, can I record you doing an apology?
Well,
apologies.
We might have that in this next segment because we're gonna transition. But any other final thoughts on football? Home opener a week away. Maybe we'll get in.
Episode.
Yeah, we'll try and get a full football episode in later this week. But want to shift gears to the Bill Self press conference today. Just to catch everybody up since our last episode. A couple additions to the roster. Bill Self has the health scare again in the hospital. Gets the heart stents put in. He's had, I think, one other press conference since then. He obviously bringing in Jock Vaughn and all that, but he had a press conference today that want to touch on, because they obviously asked him about his health, asked him about the team, asked him about the $300 million coming to Kansas Athletics. So I want to get into some of that. Let's start with the Bill Self health update. Gets the 2 stents put in. According to him from today's press conference and according to his doctor, he's good, all good to go. Says he feels even better now than he did the last go around a couple of years ago. And that if we had a game tomorrow, he'd be coaching just fine. All is normal. So according to him, his doctor says everything's good to go. I think his quote was, "Hey doc, should I be thinking about not coaching?" And he was like, "Well, do you still love your job? Yeah, then keep coaching. You're fine." So medically speaking, that says that Bill Self is fine to continue coaching. JB, I'll start with you because we have still had the conversation the last year and a half, though. He might be healthy enough to coach, but has his health scare changed the way he's coached? Because I have argued and you have argued he's lost a little bit of the intensity the last 2 years.
Fire.
And we can get into the arguments on, again, was it the health scare? Is it the frustrating roster he had in front of him of the limitations, so he didn't dive into it as much? I don't know. But according to his doctor, he is healthy. He's good to go. He took a couple days off after that procedure, of course, but back in the full swing of things. Their guys all they moved in over the summer, had practices, boot camp and all that, then went home for a week or so. They're all back this weekend, but that is the update currently. So JB, I'll kick it over to you on what you think that means for him from a coaching standpoint, hearing that.
To me, it's all fluff. To me, it's like, fan service, saying whatever he thinks we all want to hear.
But she is very let me put this out there. Bill Self does press conferences he's very good at press conferences. He's very well connected to the media, very strategic. He's got intentional pauses and responses to that. And he's obviously been trained up by Chris Tyson, who does a phenomenal job at his job. So Bill Self, he does a lot of those, and he'll also do well, guys, that's also coach's talk, so you're going to hear me say that. But I'm also going to tell you this, but, I would never tell you I don't like my roster until the season's over. The only comment he did say today that I thought was funny on that, somebody asked him, he's like, "Hey, after you had some of your health scares, was there ever a point where you thought about not coaching anymore?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, after we lost 3 out of 4 in a row, but not because of my health." Because the season got low the last 2 years. But anyways,
see, it's just a joke that he's trying to use to lighten the mood. I don't know. You can call me a pessimist. You can call me whatever you want. I just look at this and I'm like, this guy is done after this year. He's done after this year. I still say he's done after this year. I still say that, and it's. I'm not rooting for it. It's mixed emotions. If you clipped me from, I don't know, a podcast recording that we did probably months ago, and I was like, he should be fired, I've probably said some outlandish things.
You said something back in the spring.
To be the coach.
You did say that.
I'm just telling you.
Call John Shire. Give him a call.
Call him.
Bill Self, even though we beat them.
Call him. Yes, I don't care. One game isn't going to change my opinion. The guy is a better coach than Bill Self. And honestly, we see a lot of it. It's I keep seeing stuff about who are the best coaches right now in college basketball, and people don't have Bill Self in their top 5. They'll mention Bill Self and Tom Izzo as the old heads that are obviously legendary coaches that have Hall of Fame careers literally and are great. But not but on the tail end of their career, but also not so great anymore because why? They probably haven't won very recently. And of course, we just won in 2022, but people seem to forget that for some reason.
It's because, again, we said it, these last 2 years killed so much of Kansas as the top program because just 2 really bad years of Hunter Dickinson and this group just destroyed. And then the way that the Jalen Wilson year ended with Self missing the tournament, it left such a sour taste in your mouth. And we can get into that conversation because I do think that's an interesting one of nationally versus locally. Where would you put Bill Self as active coaches right now? because I do think, now this is not my hot take as JB's hot take, but this is a question that I think is valid to ask, and there's enough data that you could say right now Bill Self might not be top 3, top 4, top 5 head coach in today's college basketball. Has nothing to do with his past, but the guys that have adapted the best to the way college basketball has been in the last 5 years, you could argue Bill Self's not one of those guys. Doesn't mean he can't be that guy this year. Doesn't mean that he's fallen off, in my opinion. I just think the way the game has shifted, we've seen the Nate Oates of the world, the Kelvin Sampsons, the Dan Hurleys, John Shire even adjust to the transfer portal and the play style. And Bill's acknowledged that. I mean, I think he, at the end of the last season, there was a lot of that talk in press conferences with him of, what do you take away from these last 2 years to prepare? He's like, well, I think now it's every year is 1 year. And so you build the best team for that team next year. And we've talked about it. And we'll talk a little bit about here in a minute with some of his comments. This year's roster is much more complementary to a play style he wants to play. Whereas the last 2 years, it was all about, let's go get the top dog that's on the market and we'll hope it works out. So I think that's a valid conversation to have. We can save that for another episode to get into for sure. But it seems like all things are pointing towards he's locked in for this year and many more to come, which is going to give me to my next question here. Bill Self coaching another 10 years. JB says it's after this year. Yeah. I hear his comments and I'm like, all right, he's got at least 5 more years, if not potentially 10. So maybe 10's a little too much there, but that poses the question of how much longer would Bill Self potentially coach, given that his health isn't the reason he has to step aside. And somebody again asked him that today, hey, what would that be like? And he's like, well, guys, I feel great. My doctor says I'm good to go. I haven't lost my passion, so I'm not thinking about retiring anytime soon.
But it seems like he has. That's the thing, is like he's lost a step. He really has. I feel like we look back at the old if we look back at old games, this is so random I point to this, but the technicals that he used to get were off of fiery passion that he would get so heated, and it was like they would also fire up the team. They're like, oh snap, like coach just got tech. Okay, we got to make it up to him. And a lot of times the patented Bill Self technical foul would lead to a miraculous comeback and we win. Now the Bill Self technical fouls are out of frustration that we are just dog crap at playing basketball. Man, I mean, I miss watching games and seeing him like yell at the top, like all fired up and yell at his guys. But now it's like when we make stupid mistakes, he's like, wow.
See,
like he's just
like I'm right there with you. I still think it was the team. It was more of the team and less of the coach. I'm still on that side. That the team he had wasn't going to respond to that. He didn't have guys that could respond to that.
I mean, 2 years ago when we got Hunter Dickinson, when it was announced that he was coming to Kansas, we were fired up. I don't even want to go back and look at the clips from when me, you, and
everybody,
Spencer would
every
talk
podcast
about,
out there was, this is a national championship team immediately.
I wish he never came to this team. He has been the poison of this entire program, and he might have killed Bill Self.
Luckily, we get Darren Peterson this year, because if we didn't have Darren Peterson coming this year, this year would not look fun at all.
We didn't get a national title. We certainly didn't get 2 national titles. We got heart problems for our beloved Bill Self. That's what Hunter Dickinson brought to Kansas.
And the 2 worst seasons of the Bill Self era.
We got 2 preseason number 1 rankings, so that's what we got.
And what's that good for?
It's not good for anything. I don't want KU to ever be ranked preseason number 1 ever again in my lifetime. I don't care if they're good enough to win the national.
Preseason polls are such a
rank
joke.
Preseason number 1. Don't do it.
You don't know what you have until the first 2 weeks of the season. But yeah.
Anywho,
let's get into some of his comments. Then we can talk about that. But let's get into some of his comments on the roster, because we didn't talk about all these additions, or at least we haven't gone in detail. Added Cole Rosario over the summer, which I mentioned on a podcast a while back. He's looked pretty good. Paul Imbia, of course, was the big man that we added, and then Ginu Ngali, the guard transfer, the old guard transfer. He's going to be the old guy on the team,
Dude,
the Jalen
25,
Coleman
right?
Lands of this team. Bill Self had some good comments on him. Basically, he was like, "Hey, we needed this guy. This is something, with the way the roster was sitting." He's like, "We are one injury away from not having great depth in the guard spot. So having an experienced guard to come in, he was very clear. He's like, hey, let me be clear. We're not bringing him to start. He's capable, but we're not looking at him as a starter. But he's a great depth piece, veteran presence, which I took that, and I think we talked about this a few weeks back when he mentioned looking for that outside of Darren Peterson, you weren't really sure who the primary backup ball handler was going to be. Is it El Marco? Is it Melvin Council? Probably those two, but you really didn't have a true point guard on the roster. And you're just handing the keys to Darren Peterson, which is fine. We think he can handle it. But if for whatever reason he's struggling to run the offense, you really don't have anybody on this team that can do that. And whether he's playing a lot or not, it gives you another option with Noah Shelby transferring away. It gives you that depth piece. So had some comments on him, and then of course he talked a lot about Cole Rosario being really athletic, has a ton of bounce. He talked about that over the summer, that he's kind of a Christian Brown archetype, just a little bit smaller. Brown was a little bit taller, but the athleticism similar. And he said that Rosario coming in as a freshman was further along as a shooter than Christian Brown was at the time. So a lot of hype there. Really excited about Cole Rosario. Maybe he plays his way into not just a rotation spot, but a starting spot by later in the year. He talked about Trey White. Trey White has had a really good summer. He was asked about the transfer players that transferred in over the summer, who's looked the best, who's ahead of schedule, all that. And Self basically said Trey White has been basically plug and play immediately, immediate fit, fits fantastically. I think there's a lot of Jalen Wilson vibes to how he fits with this team, and that he adjusted quick. He said not that Melvin Council and Jaden Dawson haven't, but theirs has just been a little slower than Trey White. Trey White just weren't perfect fit early on. I don't take a lot of his offseason comments very seriously, because we all know he said Zach Clements was the most improved player on the team, and then he never played ever again after that, other than exhibition play. But those were some of the comments that he had today. Feels really good about the squad. Looking forward to getting in there. Obviously talked about Chase Buford officially taking the job with the Denver Nuggets. So he was asked about what he's doing with the assistant coach spot. Basically said, obviously, we're looking at it. We're talking about what I think I need for it. But he goes, we'll figure that out. Don't really have anything else on that currently. But that he's got a list of potential candidates. And I know, Austin, you texted us earlier. You said, Mike Boynton, come on up. Slide right in.
I mean, hey.
That's not the first time that his name's been mentioned.
Alumnus. I mean, bring Mike Boynton, guy that
he has an intensity.
State. I mean, I know the two really respect each other, so it's just a thought. I mean, why not? What do you have to lose? Honestly, I think he's a solid coach. I mean, Oklahoma State wasn't that great when he was a coach there, but I mean,
I think he got burned. He got burned with all that recruiting issue.
That's crazy. I don't know if they deserved that that punishment or whatever that they got from the NCAA. I mean, the difference is, with our investigation and theirs, they didn't go through the IARP, I think is what it is. Yeah. We went through that and they didn't, and they basically got screwed over, and we basically got, slap on the wrist, except we had to take down one of our banners. So
let's put it back up anyway.
Might as well.
Let's do it.
Who cares?
It still happened.
Exist, but you can't take
tell that to Michigan or Michigan, Louisville. Tell it to Louisville.
Yeah, Michigan's got their problems going on too.
Did you see Jim Harbaugh? They said you better hope it works out for the Chargers, because he can't coach in college football till like 2036 or something.
Wait, really?
The punishment he's getting, he can't coach in college football for like 10 years. It's a 10-year. Probably
not going to go back anyways.
Yeah.
So
that was interesting. But yeah, anyway, Bill Self's comments, top to bottom, we got more athletic, we got bigger, we added nice depth.
I hope so.
This team is evolving into something nice. He said the guys look like fierce competition. He said the chemistry's certainly developing, and because the guys like each other. There's a lot of competition on the court, so obviously that'll all come with it. The chemistry will take some time to develop, but overall, looking back at what we lost, literally every single player that played a minute besides Flory gone. What you brought in, the way you brought it in, the time you brought it in, all things said on paper, it doesn't. I know JB's still going to tell you, hey, I'm not that excited about this class outside of Darren Peterson. That's fine because we lost out on some big additions we could have had. But on paper, the complementary basketball fit, you're seeing it come together, and I don't know if they could have done any better given the options they had available. Now, could they have gotten Darian Williams? Sure. Could they have hoped that a guy dropped out of the draft and they came back, like a RJ Luis, who probably should have stayed in college because he didn't get drafted and is probably not going to make a roster? Could have. But the guys that they did go out and get, I think Cole Rosario, if he's ahead of schedule, because again, he's not just a freshman, he's a changing of the class freshman. So he's a little bit on the younger side. Darren Peterson, greatest talent we've probably seen since Andrew Wiggins, and before that, who knows, in theory. So it came together quite nicely. I'm pleased with where the roster is currently. Obviously, there's a lot of time between now and games. 2 months away from late night, by the way, so not that far off. But they'll be able to start getting the guys together a little bit more, and I'm sure they're all going to hang out and do a ton of stuff. We'll probably see them all at the football game next week. They'll be there. But just overall thoughts from you guys on this group, some of Self's comments, and how we're feeling sitting here in August with the KU basketball team.
Austin, I'll let you take it.
I mean, I do like our roster. I just don't want to get ahead of myself because we've gotten ahead of ourselves the past 2 years. So it's just the same thing with football. I gotta really watch what I say before the season starts. But I mean, listen, we got a tough schedule this upcoming season. I mean, look at our non-conference. I mean, how many different good teams are we playing? I mean, I know we're playing Syracuse and Notre Dame. I forgot where. I know it's for a tournament. And then you got the Champions Classic again, and then you're playing Mizzou again. I'm not saying they're going to be good, but heck, they might be. I don't know. It's going to be
good. And you kick it off with the Louisville exhibition game, which I know
that's right. Yeah, I forgot about
that. You got that. But yeah, you're at North Carolina in the first 2 weeks.
So I mean, I just
North Carolina, Duke, Notre Dame, Syracuse, UConn, Mizzou,
UConn,
North Carolina State. You've got a pretty.
I don't mind having Louisville as a tough opponent as for an exhibition game, because honestly, it's I feel like some of our best years have been when we lost one early.
Yeah.
Honestly, we kind of have good years when we lose the Champions Classic. We have good years sometimes. If we were to lose to Louisville, I'm not freaking out. I'm just okay, good. We needed a punch in the gut, and it doesn't count. Yeah, it's we got a punch in the gut, and it doesn't count, so we're good. I'm not saying we're going to lose that game. I'm just saying it would be beneficial to have a tough opponent.
And I think we've seen 3 years in a row now that Bill Self treats that game very differently from the opposition. Arkansas, they went all out.
They did.
They went all out.
We started and ended our season with Arkansas.
Yeah,
I hate that.
I hate that too.
Illinois, 2 years ago, same thing. Yeah. They kind of went all out. I mean, we didn't even have that many guys that played last year against Arkansas for that. Bill Self wasn't running any offense. It was just vanilla, simple stuff. I mean, DeJuan Harris was your best player offensively, and we know how that turned out. So I don't put any stock in it. But yeah, I like the competition early. I like the fact that they're going to go play in a big arena as the first time they're all together on court for the first time. I think that's great. But yeah, it's a tough schedule. Like we mentioned, North Carolina early, Duke, Syracuse. You've got some tough scheduled games on the schedule this year, but Bill's been doing that for the last 5-6 years now. Let's play all these tough games early because it'll tell you what kind of team you'll be in March. It'll help build you for March. So I like that.
Yeah, not only that, it'll help you get ready for Big 12 play because literally every single Big 12 game now is like it's like a Super Bowl. I mean, everything depends on it. Literally, it's every game. It doesn't matter if you're playing UCF on the road or if you're playing West Virginia. I mean, every single game counts. But going back to my comments about and thoughts about the roster, though, I really do like who we have on the team now. Obviously, keeping Flory I think is a big deal for me because he's going to have a really big year. And, this could be his last year with us before he goes to the NBA. At least I think that's kind of the hope, really. I think
that's
for
the
all
plan,
of us, including Coach Self. So, I mean, I think Flory should have started last year. That's a conversation for a different day. But
that's like one of my biggest what ifs. Had Flory started more games throughout the year or averaged, again, he was in foul trouble a lot. So you have to take that in consideration. He was in foul trouble a lot. So he didn't play a ton, but his per 48 minutes or per 40 minutes, his stats would have been solid. So if he can figure out how to stay out of foul trouble this year, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, I would have loved to see more Flory last year. And honestly, I would not. I mean, again, we said it plenty of times. Wouldn't have been opposed to benching Hunter for a game just to see. I mean, what else did you have to lose? You need to kick Hunter in the pants last year and get something more out of him because he just wasn't bringing it. But
it's like same thing with Dave. Like we bench him to like start the game against Oklahoma State on the road during the Natty year, and then he came into the game as off the bench and put up like double-digit figures. I mean, and he went on and won the national championship.
Who would have been the other big? Oh yeah, Mitch Lightfoot would have started.
Yep. And also Big Dave was our best player in TBT, and he didn't play enough. I don't think Tyshawn Taylor knows how to run a team because I don't.
We haven't talked about that on the podcast.
We haven't talked
about it. Good Lord.
Okay, Keegan and I went to go see.
That was terrible basketball.
That was so bad. And like Tyshawn Taylor, I'm gonna call you out, brother. Tyshawn Taylor.
All right. You're not the only one.
He's healthy. And he sat out this game for what? He sat out the game that we ended up losing for what? And he didn't
massaging his legs with the massage gun the whole second half, prepping like he's gonna go in.
He's just going off.
Well, he got
at the team.
He didn't get thrown out, but the rest basically shut him down because he wouldn't stop mouthing off to him. And
I was like, just get your own butt in the game, brother. Like, go get in there. I was screaming.
Can we take some of this $300 million and shift it to the TBT so they can actually pay Frank Mason $25,000 to play on our team instead of?
We wouldn't even need to play for $1 million. We already got the money.
I'm coming for you too, Frank. I love you, Frank, but you did us dirty and you know it. You tried to back out and be like, business is business. Yeah, but he said business is business.
No, he said family. You said family over everything.
No, come on. And I've met Frank Mason in person a number of times. I did not think I would get that out of Frank. It was a shock. It was a shock, bro.
For sure.
You are.
Speaking of shock, freaking Wichita State goes out and wins it.
Hats off to them, dude. They deserve it.
Yeah.
Man,
I really love the fact that like our team this year, they seem to like each other. I mean, you see videos with like Melvin doing 1v1s with some of the guys. I mean, even them reacting to the TBT win over K-State or K-State's team. I mean, like it almost seems too good to be true. But I mean, like I don't think we saw any of that last year with the guys. I mean,
how many times last year did we talk about?
Okay, that one time against Oklahoma
doesn't look like they have fun playing together. We said that over and over last year.
Oh, okay. I'm AJ Store. I'm just going to go to the locker room on senior day. I'm not going to stick around. I have to go back out there. Oh, okay.
Also,
I don't think there's going to be any of that anymore.
Zeke Mayo's not allowed on TBT ever again.
That was bad.
Oh my God.
We were sitting a row in front of Braden Turner, so we were talking to him for a little bit, and we were back and forth like,
shout out, ain't no seats.
It's the same Zeke from the season. Turns the ball over, can't pass, can't dribble under pressure.
And they I don't notice all these things in basketball as I'm watching because I'm just like all hyped up and I'm watching the game for the game. But like, even I was noticing their defense was zeroing in on Zeke Mayo every single time. They were like, how can we get him to turn it over? And guess what? Every time they
He
did
did
a
it.
little scheme, it worked. And I was like, I just don't understand like how bad he is. Oh, man, it's like no wonder he didn't make the NBA. I don't know. I'm really mean this episode, but like, dude, I'm mad at Zeke Mayo. I'm mad at Frank Mason. I'm mad at Tyshawn Taylor.
And Sherron. You got to throw Sherron in there
I'm
too.
mad at Sherron too. Yeah, because man, some coach you win a high school championship or whatever. You can't beat Team Heartfire.
I think now TBT, again, not to spiral off here, but TBT is so different. Like, how are you motivating these 25 to 35-year-old men that are just playing for a check when they've got other big, like McCormick wasn't even supposed to be there. I don't know what he had going on, something family related. So he wasn't even supposed to be there. And then he comes back, he's got a contract overseas, so he doesn't need to play for them technically. You've got guys on the roster you've never heard of. You've got 7 bigs and 2 guards.
Yes,
because they can't ever get a guard. Where's Devontae? How come he wasn't there? He was in Lawrence like 3 or 4 times over the summer. So how come he wasn't there? I know he just signed a contract overseas too, but yeah, that was very, very disappointing. So I'm sure it's tough, but yeah, that's something I mentioned to one of the guys sitting near us. Like, look over at LaFonso Ellis and Hartfire. Like, they all look like they play for each other and they're motivated and play. Like, they don't look like the KUTBT team. I hate saying it that way. It looked like 7 to 8 dudes that just showed up to the rec and have never played together. Whereas Heartfire still looked like, hey, we've been practicing for 6 weeks
because they have.
And we play defense
That's the thing.
intensely.
Kansas never does that. Have you ever noticed? I mean, it's like
they practice like the week before.
Yeah, the week or 2 tops before, and that's it. And like,
but they also didn't have the roster finalized until that week too.
They never have more than like 2 guards on the roster. It's like, it's so sad to see how little amount of focus we put toward TBT. And I don't care if like you want to make the argument that TBT doesn't really mean anything, and half the people you talk to about TBT don't even know what it is. And like, okay, fine, I'll take that. But it's a tournament that's at its essence, at its core. It's a tournament that is supposed to say, okay, which school has the best alumni, which school has the greatest alumni team, and you get these guys together and they battle it out.
They disappoint every year.
They disappoint every year, and it's like, man, why are they disappointing? Well, they start 3 or 4 bigs every single year. They only practice for 1 week. They are basically having a glorified scrimmage every single time. Yeah. And it's just like, it's really sad that we keep getting a 2 seed in the TBT tournament.
That's because we're really one of the host teams.
And it's because we're host team. It's also because of like name value and all these things. And it's like, man.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not officially affiliated with the university the way TBTs ran. So,
yeah.
But I'm like, how are these other teams like? There are plenty of sponsors out there that could give money for this stuff, and actually, KU could take it seriously. So,
I wish they would keep it to the schools. That's the thing, is Heartfire was a compilation of many different schools, alumni from many different schools, and so there was no school that Team Heartfire was representing. I just don't like what TBT has become, because back in the day, it used to be about, okay, yeah, Wichita State alumni versus Kansas alumni. Who's going to win? Mizzou alumni, K-State alumni. Now you've got, it's run like the NBA, because you got guys like Frank Mason that just want to chase a bag and go play for Syracuse of all teams. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, of all the teams, like
rant over.
If we would have gone to Heartfire, I would have been fine with that. Or yeah, Syracuse, it just felt so wrong, but. Yeah, TBT was disappointing. Didn't expect to talk TBT on this episode.
Sorry, guys.
You were right. We hadn't talked. I don't think we talked about that on the last KU episode we did. I don't know if we did a basketball one after that.
But. This entire recording has just been let's catch up on everything KU. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably break this down into a couple clips for you guys that don't watch the full 50 minutes or so. But any other final thoughts on anything KU you guys want to get off your chest? School's back in session this week. Home opener next week. Again, we'll try and do a football episode this week to kind of break down the season predictions. I know Austin and I talked a little bit of that in our last episode, so you can go back and check that out, or I'll go in and repost some clips from that second half of that conversation where we talked a little bit about Jalen Daniels and expectations. But yeah, we'll do a little bit more of KU football stuff coming up. But yeah, any final thoughts on anything Kansas athletics?
No, not really. I mean, I know school's starting next week, and it's like I think I even said this to you, Keegan, before we went on last time. It feels so weird that I don't have school starting. Like
first time in your entire life.
I know, exactly. I mean, of course, I don't remember what life was like whenever I was like 1-2 years old because I didn't have school during then. But I mean, like, yeah, it's weird for sure, and it's going to take time for me to get used to this. I mean, I want to go to grad school at some point, but I just don't know when and where that would be.
Sure.
The only other thing I have is when we were at TBT together, I introduced myself to Darren Peterson, got a picture with him. I was about to say bodyguard, but like it's not his bodyguard. His entourage.
What do they call him? The SID person for basketball.
Yeah, like team? Some student, like this kid. And I'm gonna say kid because I'm 33 years old, and this guy was probably like 20 years old, telling me, you can't take a video with Darren Peterson. Anyway, all I wanted was a video of Darren Peterson shouting out the pod so we could add to the intro. We got JD, we got DP. Like, how cool would that have been? Instead, he only allowed me to take a picture, so I just got a selfie with him. Very disappointing that I couldn't get a video with him, but it was a pleasant conversation. Great kid, Darren Peterson is, and I did my patented thank you for choosing Kansas comment to him, which I don't know how much I've
thank you.
I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the podcast. I probably have, but I've only said that to so many people. I want to say it's 3. I know for sure it's 2. The first one I ever said that to was Devontae Graham, and look what he did for the program. The second person I ever said that to was Ochai Abaji, and look what he did to this program, bringing us a national title. I don't remember who the third one was, if there even was a third, but we're going to say Darren Peterson's the third. And if history wants to repeat itself, we're in for a heck of a season with Darren Peterson. So I'll leave it at that.
There we go. We can end the episode with some positivity there. I love it.
That's right.
Yep.
Make sure JB with some positivity over here.
There you go. Make sure if you haven't done so yet, if you're this far in, you're definitely a subscriber. But if you haven't done so yet, hit that like and subscribe button below. Send the podcast to a couple friends. We are on a mission to move up the leaderboards here on YouTube as one of the top KU podcasts over the next year with all the content we're going to get into. In addition to KU, we've got all sorts of sports content. Again, we've got the guys from over at Who You Got podcast are also going to be featured. They do some great sports betting content for us. The image disappeared. I'll put it back up there. So make sure you check them out as well at Who You Got 33 on Twitter and Instagram. They have weekly episodes. A lot of great sports take with them. You'll see me on some of their episodes. You'll see some of them on our episodes. We've got a fantasy football one out right now that you can go check out as you prep for your drafts. Some more fantasy content coming with them as well. So make sure you're staying tuned. You're checking everything out. You're following us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at KCSA Pod. You can also follow the 3 of us on our own platforms there below. Give us a follow. Say hey to us if you see us at the game next week. That'd be awesome. Would love to really connect the fans, because that's honestly the whole point of this podcast, is to connect the fan base more to what happens and hear some takes from the average everyday sports fans, of which we are. Not the experts, not the professionals. We're your average everyday sports fans that have great takes, I think, and love to share them with you guys, and would love to get your thoughts and opinions as well and do some more interaction. So stay tuned for all that's coming down the road, and that'll do it. We'll wrap it up in this one. Thank you guys as always, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Rock chalk.
Rock chalk.